Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video from Canal Sidings and another update on my North Grove stabling point progress. This video is earlier than I expected, simply because my boiler replacement was scheduled for last Wednesday. It's actually being postponed and is starting tomorrow. Today is Monday the 21st. He's starting on Tuesday the 22nd. So this will be the last video until that's all over, hopefully. So what progress have I made? Well, I think you can see this is the left hand end of North Grove. I've temporarily stuffed this back scene up here so that you get an idea of where the layout finishes. It's by no means positioned in the right place or anything. And what I've done is I've laid in this track off of the end of the three-way point down to the buffer stop. The buffer stop is not fixed because it still hasn't been painted. I need to spray paint it and then I can fix it in afterwards. I've also laid the next track all the way from the double slip down to its buffer stop, and I've laid the track from the other three-way point down to this buffer stop here. Now, what are these three tracks? Okay, this one is purely an access track to allow you to get to the other two roads on this three-way point that you can just see the end of here. It's the only way to get to the first two roads of that point. The next track connects to the double slip and allows you access to the third one of the tracks that runs in that direction up towards the other shed. And the last track comes off of the other three-way point and is mostly there to allow wagons to be taken up to this, which is the fuel storage tanks, so that they can discharge into those tanks. And so what we can do is we can bring a couple of wagons in, crude but only a finger. We can bring a couple of wagons in and they can be arranged to discharge into those tanks. Whether that piece of extension track there is going to be there or not, I haven't made up my mind yet. At the moment I'm thinking I'm going to put it in there, and the buffer stop will be on the end as it's shown there. It can't go as far as these because I need to be able to get these steps in that allow you to get over this bund wall so that you can go up the steps that are behind there and onto the tops of the tanks for whatever maintenance is necessary. So in theory those wagons will be able to run that far. That allows me to have quite a bit of space in front because I'm only ever going to put two wagons down there. So I decided to put the fueling point here. It was going to go between this track, which comes out of this shed, and this track further this way on the layout, further down there. But I decided that didn't really work operationally. So I've put it here. It may move backwards and forwards, I'm not sure exactly where it'll go along here. But it does allow me to bring a locomotive in to fuel from both sides. That's only an old Lima loco, so it's not powered. It won't be DCC. I'm going to use the body, but I'm not going to use the chassis off that. This track here, where the 47 now is, that bit can be used to stable a locomotive. That's no problem at all. You'll still be able to bring a loco down here to fuel it, and you'll also be able to bring a loco down this track to fuel. So you do have the option of either side fueling. I've turned this fueling storage area around. It was 90 degrees from where it is, and that allowed me to push this shed further that way. But I've decided that that's not necessary, because I don't need a long road in front of this shed. I can still store a loco outside and one inside. So I decided to turn it round, and I think it looks far better that way round than it did at right angles. So it used to run across here and actually come right up to this track. I think it looks far better that way round, so it's going to stay that way. As you can see, I've got a piece of the walling in the back in behind here, which is not fixed, but it gives you an idea of the height. And on the top of the walling up here there will be a lot of hedgerow and bushes. It'll just be an overgrown, unused piece of land, and that retaining wall will run all the way along and out of sight from where you are at the moment. I haven't laid in, let's just turn you round a little bit. I haven't laid in this piece of track yet, and that is the next thing to do. I need to find what the alignment of this piece of track that goes into the shed is, get the exact shed alignment, and then I need to design and build the concrete hard standing that's going to go underneath the shed, that will be right up to the rails, and then drop in the inspection pit that you've seen already. I've still only built one of those with lights. I've got two more to build for the other shed, but I thought I'll concentrate on this end first. So that's the next job that I shall be doing, building those bits and pieces around there and getting that concrete apron and concrete interior to the shed sorted out, and then I can put some more concrete across to this track around the fueling point and in between these, so that it's easy for the shed operatives to walk backwards and forwards across here to get to the fueling, etc. So that's where we are at that end, and that will be what I continue to work on. I shall also attempt to spray those buffer stops that you saw earlier, and get those fitted permanently as well, and we'll be well on the way to this end of the layout being operational, if you like. All the dropper wires are in, but they're not connected to anything yet. I've got dropper wires from here, I've got some from here, I've got some from this track, and everything should work. I've got dropper wires at either side of the double slip, which are supplied by Pico anyway, and all the frog wires are through, so it's a case of tipping the board up and adding the point motors that you saw had built last time, and wiring all those up and getting them working. But that can come at the same time as I'm making the hole for the inspection pit, because it's going to require that everything is loose, is taken off the layout, so that I can actually make the hole, tip it up, check the inspection pit fits, etc. So that's where we are at that end of the layout. At the other end of the layout I've also made a couple of decisions. I'm just going to shift this a little bit, and as you can see, the other end of the layout, here is the cassette system. Where this piece of metal is approximately where the bridge will be across the track to as the scenic brake for locos entering and leaving, and then the wall will continue along there. So the wall will continue behind here, across there, and then down there where the lane is, that is the entrance to the shed, the vehicle and the pedestrian entrance. What you see here, zoom in a little, what you see there are the site offices. This is a backman building, which I'm sure many of you have seen before. I've seen it on lots and lots of layouts, but it is just something that works perfectly for these positions. It's just portable offices. This one I built last week, and it comes from modelrailwayscenery.co.uk, sorry, .com. There's, oh, I can't hold it with that hand. There's the kit, modelrailwayscenery.com, and as I say, I built that. This is KX041, which is the one that comes complete with laser cut board, such that you don't have to find and cut out your own cardboard. Just lazy, really. Both of these buildings, of course, will be lit, as will everywhere else on the layout. I was a bit disappointed in the backman buildings, and I'll just pick this one up and show you what I mean. Staircase will probably fall over, but that's the backman building. It's got no floor in it. It isn't supplied with a floor. If it was supposed to be, then mine didn't come with one. And that's a bit disappointing, because it means you can't detail them without adding something. So the term ready to plant buildings is, i.e. finished and ready to go, is a bit of a misnomer, I think. But if I get this back on now, from here, it's quite difficult, because it only just balances on there. It's about the best I can do from there. There's a lamp in my way, that's the trouble. Yeah, I haven't got it quite in the right place, and I've just knocked this one sideways a bit. The idea of which building will be which, basically, this building here will be the shed controller's office, and that is where incoming engines and outgoing engine drivers will report. So he will control access in both directions to the shed, and he will control what goes where in the shed. Next door to him, downstairs in this building here, will be a small storeroom where they store simple lightweight spare parts for locos. Anything more major that's needed will come in some other way, by road or something, and as required. This is a stabling point. It's not really a repair shed. So although the one road building is for repairs, they are generally minor repairs. They're not for major repairs, although there will be lifting jacks in, so you could actually lift the loco body up and run the bogies out, so you could do traction motor work, etc. But that's something else, and I'm not really convinced that they would do that much in a shed of this size. So, small stores. Upstairs there will be other administration offices, and whatever else the shed needs, really. There will be other things. There'll probably be the running shed foreman up there and things like that. This building will contain, at this end up to about here, the mess room. Then there's the actual site toilet, the only one that's on it. That's what that window there is. And then at this end there will be the locker rooms for the men who work here, with a few lockers for drivers and second men coming in and out. That's my idea anyway. Whether any of that makes sense the way the railway operates, I'm not really sure, because there's precious little information out there on that. Along here, and I don't know exactly where yet, but along here I'm going to put a safety fence, which will simply be, again from modelrailwayscenery.com. They produce some etched key clamp type railings, which are ideal for that. I shall put them there, and I shall paint them bright yellow, so that it's obvious that you need to be careful and not cross them. And they will run along there. There will here somewhere be a crossing, and it will be filled in to make it easy to actually cross the track, and that will be the recommended place to cross, with beware of the train signs on either side to say to you, you know, you are crossing a railway and things will come through here. if we go a little bit further round and a little bit less zoom, just here, just before the bridge, there's going to be a signal, the only signal on the railway, which will control exit from the shed. It will normally sit at danger, and the shed controller will telephone the signal box further down the line off scene to say we have a locomotive ready to leave, and it will be that signalman's responsibility to allow that loco to leave and change that signal to green. The idea is that there's a corresponding signal at the other end to allow entry to the shed, which is more controlled by the shed controller. So that will normally be red and won't let anybody in until the signalman at the other end asks the shed controller for access for a loco, and then that signal up there, which you won't be able to see, will be allowed green. And of course that signalman down there has asked for that, so he'll definitely keep that signal at red. So that should allow that single track to work reasonably well. All we will see is that signal changing colour, going from red to green and back to red again once the loco passes it on the way out. On the way in, that signal will be red, but it won't be stopping you because it's facing the opposite direction. And the only other thing that I've decided, I haven't done anything with it yet, is that I have another one of these backman excuse me, another one of these backman fueling points, and that is going between these two tracks, which are the ones that go into this shed. That always seems to be the case. Wherever you have a pair of tracks going into a running shed, you have a fueling point outside. Exactly where it will go along here I don't know yet, but I'd say it's not far off the right position now. But I haven't laid any of these tracks yet. I've still been working on and thinking about this end. I think that's about it. I don't think I've done anything else. No, I think that's it. I think that's all I need to say for this update. So I'll wrap it up now and say don't expect another video too quickly, because I've got 3 days of upheaval at home and then probably another few days of trying to tidy it all up and sort it all out. So I'll see you again as soon as I possibly can. Thanks for watching. Bye.